Good morning. My name is Ashim Sachdeva, and I'm Turnitin's Regional Director for South Asia. Before I begin my presentation, may I request each one of you to please stand for a minute and observe a minute's silence in memory of the 40-odd soldiers we lost yesterday in Kashmir. Thank you very much. Somebody raised the question that there are many challenges and how do we leverage technology. So apart from getting newer model computers, getting better software, learning how to use technology is also a challenge. So that's something that I guess all of us see. We're not the digital born generation, but a lot of our students are, and for them it's not challenged. I just want to share with all of you today some learnings and insights that we've had working with about 15,000 odd institutions across the world. This learning really is about what are some of the challenges that today's educationists face, and within those challenges, how do you find the opportunities and leverage those opportunities? I just want to quickly share towards the latter half of my presentation some benefit of digitization that we have seen through studies conducted over time. And just briefly capture some of the technology that can be leveraged for assessments, feedback, and originality. So one of the biggest trends worldwide today is the increasing focus on STEM education. The biggest growth drivers for STEM really are that there are more jobs available in STEM today, more demand for STEM. Obviously, that always, employability always is a great driver. Interestingly, there is also a gender shift that's happening. More women are being encouraged to go into STEM education. More scholarships, there are far more initiatives for giving students the grants and loans, etc., in STEM courses. But this trend is not something which is limited to a particular country, as you can see. And of course, India is number 2 on that list, the top being China. Interestingly, 75% of the fastest growing occupations now require STEM skills and knowledge. And the World Economic Forum predicted that approximately 150 million jobs will be in demand by 2022. And these will be created by AI and robotics and all the other stuff. Interestingly, while English has been the language of the world, so to speak, for many years now, more and more people are finding that the quality of English speaking, writing, etc., has gone down over the years. And as Mr. Johnson highlighted one of the examples, that a lot of these students are not age capable. They are far below their age in ability. And therefore, how do you look at this issue globally, and what can you do to address it? Amongst some of the many challenges, and by no means is this a comprehensive list of challenges that are faced by people like you, but some of the challenges that we have worked on to identify are in the area of academic misconduct, with the need for, and this goes back to Dr. Master's thing about grades, GPA, etc., being the focus of education, research and research competency being necessary for promotions. And competency is not decided by the quality of what you write, but by how many papers you publish. So essentially, it's an area which has seen a great number of incidents happening over the last few years in terms of different types of misconduct that is happening within colleges, schools. It's happening at all levels, and not just limited to education. Ma'am rightly said, and I think the whole theme has been, how do you build efficiency for instructors? At the end of the day, a teacher is expected to do so many things that he or she often loses the passion for education. It just becomes another chore. How do I actually go out and deliver my passion to my students? If I'm supposed to spend 3 hours in administrative work, I'm supposed to spend time grading, I'm supposed to spend time preparing for my classes. How do I even think about getting to a point where I can actually help people, the students, in their outcomes and their knowledge outcomes? And of course, we spoke briefly about the writing skills that are deteriorating. Just to summarize some of the kind of feedback and assessment challenges that we have seen over the years through our partners' feedback, is that gaining consistency in grading, especially if you're doing it manually, is very difficult because you're relying to a great extent on memory. And no matter how good your memory is, it's very difficult to really, in a class of 45 and then across 6 sections or 8 sections, that's 250 students, and then try and do that for all 4 or 5 classes. It's very difficult to really look at objective, consistent grading. Also, we've spoken about this, takes time to give personalized feedback. How do you interact with a student one-on-one when you have a class of 50, 60, and so on, and you're teaching 6, 7, 8 courses? And then some people have said that a multi-student assessment is almost like a huge logistical exercise that is to be done when you're setting up a project or doing something like that. And at the same time, the students are saying more and more, and to go back to some of the, not why, but the what ifs, are saying that, listen, tell me what I can do better. Don't tell me broadly what the class needs to do. Tell me, how can I improve in maths? How can I improve in calculus? How can I improve my writing? How can I improve my public speaking? And so on and so forth. But I don't get the answer because it's very difficult to catch the teacher. The teacher is always busy. Again, students are saying, when you grade me, and I think Dr. Masters spoke about it, he said, when you grade me, A, B, C, whatever it is you grade me, you don't tell me why. You do it, and I assume that it's been done because I got less or more marks, but you don't really tell me often what exactly I could have done differently. And that is not available to us today. And of course, I mean, that is a smaller part of it, but I think more and more students are finding it difficult to apply their mind to critical thinking and to critical writing, because all of this requires greater interaction with their guides, their mentors, their faculty. One of the other interesting things we've seen is that while on the one hand there is a growing demand and there is a growing need for STEM education. Sorry, I don't think that's very clear. If you can just turn down the lights, maybe that'll help somewhat. I doubt if anybody can see what that is at the back. Can we just dim the light slightly so that at least it... Yeah, that's often the problem. We design things, we don't know where the switches are. So we can never change. We can never do things. Okay, I'm going to just read it out for you. My apologies for that. If anybody wants, I'd be happy to share that deck with them and they can go through that. So one of the issues that faculty or instructors have faced in STEM courses is that there's a variety of different types of subject areas and assignments that have to be looked at when you're trying to put together some sort of an online system to replace a manual system. More and more, we've also seen from our feedback we've got from the insights we've got from working with people is that, yes, it's an ethics issue, but more and more it's becoming a curriculum and a pedagogy issue. And integrity, more than ever, is the need of the hour, both in the classroom as well as beyond. The other thing, of course, is that today we find that plagiarism is omnipresent. It's not just in academic institutions. It's been known to impact world leaders. It's been known to impact universities, students, etc. It's also evolving in complexity and scale. It's not just about copy-paste or Control-C as it used to be many years ago. There's research misconduct. There's a growing menace of contract cheating. I mean, that today, the world over, in the UK and Australia, in large parts of Europe, there's a huge movement against contract cheating. Because essentially, it's depriving the real student of the ability to grow his or her own mind. And what is education about? It's about growing your mind. It's like any other muscle. If you work more, it grows more. If you don't work it, it just withers and dies away. And with contract cheating, that's a huge issue. So there's complexity, and all this actually is a huge educational opportunity. Because if you leave the ethics aside, there's actually a lot of learning and education that goes into a student's understanding of what might be misconduct over time. And that doesn't start when he reaches his thesis PhD level. It starts maybe in class 6, maybe in class 5, as early as you can. Because there's so many elements of it that need or that come together, whether it's proficiency in writing English, whether it's about understanding how to cite properly, etc. There are a whole host of things that need to be educated for us to understand how do we prevent misconduct. And interestingly, one of the comments we got back from one of our instructors is that it is a learned skill. It's not just about values and ethics that you get at home, that you get as you grow up in school, etc. But it is something that can be learned within an educational system. We've also seen over time that in institutions that have used technology to build critical thinking skills, critical writing skills, have actually seen as a corollary a decline, a steep decline in the incidence of similarity that has come across in the same student's paper over a period of time. So in submission 1, it was about 70%, but it went down to approximately 26% by the time the 5th paper was submitted. So clearly what's happening is that you are sensitizing the students to the need to think originally, which ultimately is not about just a better paper, it's about better understanding and better knowledge. Just quickly to give an insight on what actually have been some of the results that have been cited in different studies. Digitization does improve student outcomes. There's no doubt about it. There is absolutely no doubt. 50% of college students have reported that adaptive learning technologies have a major impact on their learning and also on the grades. So till we can get away with grades as being the way into colleges, we still need to focus on that. There's been also a great amount of increase in the reading and math scores when digital learning tools have been used. So anywhere between 1/5 to about 1/3 has been the benefit. I'm going to skip this. I don't want to really bore you with what Turnitin does, but I just want to say that we're today leveraging almost 8.2 petabytes of data. Now, 8.2 petabytes of data is a hell of a lot of data. It's a hell of a lot of data. But it's not just lying in the servers. The point is, how do you leverage technology by using the insights of data? Technology by itself is not, obviously we all know it's not the end, it's only a means. And the benefit comes out of the insights, the analysis that this large quantity of data drives. And that's really the theme that we want to share with you in this audience today, that use technology, use the best technology for whatever you're doing, but use the technology not only for efficiency, but use it for insight, use it for analytics. And that's really what's going to help you save time, what's going to give you students personalized feedback. Thank you very much.